Hello, you incredible friends. This is your pal, Edward Zia speaking. We've got another exceptional interview during this highs of Corona right now. We've got one of my friends and wonderful supporters for many years. He is a top Australian tax accountant. He understands money. He's been doing it for decades, and he has a passion for helping small businesses. He's a very savvy guy. Farokh Batliwala, how are you doing today, Farokh?
I'm very well, thank you, Edward. Thank you for having me on your interview today. Yeah, I'm doing very well in this climate at the moment. For all we are.
It's
Yeah.
crazy times. And Farokh, I was just going to say, can you tell the audience just a little bit about you before we dive into all the Corona advice and everything?
Yeah, I am originally from India, but we actually migrated to India. Our religion is a Zoroastrian religion, and Zoroastrianism was actually born in Persia, the old Persia, now modern day Iran. And yeah, we migrated thousands of years back to India to avoid persecution at the time. And then ever since we settled in India, and so we are basically now Indians. And for about 25 years back, I migrated to Australia. I married an Australian and Australian beautiful wife. And yeah, and ever since I've been here, I've worked here in corporate field in accounting and banking for a few years before I started my own practice in accounting and tax. And it's been about 15 years since I've been practicing on my own as a tax agent in Sydney, in Southwest Sydney, in Panania.
It's incredible, and I've referred you a lot of clients. You do an amazing job.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Farokh, I'd love to ask you, what is your advice? Actually, firstly, what do you think of what's happening in the world with the whole Corona situation? What's your impression on what's going on?
To be honest, as everyone knows, we wish Corona never happened in our lifetime because it has disrupted and destroyed so many lives and so many families, thousands of families. Just to give you a little bit of a statistic, the total death toll in the world today stands up over 120,000 people. That's just incredible. Just 2 months ago, there was nothing like Corona. We never even we had never heard about coronavirus or whatever. But now, 2 months since, we are seeing devastation everywhere around the world. And Australia is not immune. Even in Australia, we have had that effect, not to that great extent, but still we have suffered. About 62 people have lost their lives as well. So yeah, it's a global pandemic, and it's very sad that we are facing these difficult times.
Yeah, and I think it's incredible. And Farokh, talking from your decades of incredible business and accounting experience, what is your advice to entrepreneurs and businesses to get through these times, to survive and thrive?
I would say that this is the time for business owners and entrepreneurs to just sit back and rethink and focus on what you're doing at the moment. Focus on your business, how you're going to grow your business. Do you have any ideas or any other strategies that you can employ when this virus thing is over? Because this is a time you have to sit back and think about it. Normally on a day-to-day basis, if it was life as normal, you wouldn't have that enough time to think over as to how you're going to grow your business. But now is the time that you can do it. And that's the first thing I would say to people, that don't lose this opportunity to think creatively and think about growing your business. Don't think that you're not going to get customers once this is over. You have lost all your customers. Yeah, temporarily, that's the problem, that many businesses have lost their customers, and no business is immune. Even me, it has affected my business as well. I've lost customers also due to this coronavirus, but I'm being positive. I'm thinking of how to get my new clients, and I'm being focused on what I do best, which is my accounting and tax. So I don't want my business, I don't want to divert my attention from what I am doing at the moment. I don't want to start any new project or anything to diversify in other areas. I want to focus on what I am good at and trying to increase my clients, my business, grow my business in that sense. So I would say the same thing to other people as well, that focus on what you're doing and what you do the best, which is maintaining and growing your business.
Oh, that's incredibly well said. And I was going to ask you, because I know you're quite an expert on this. And again, this is more of an Australian question. And for our friends around the world, please check. If you're not in Australia, please check with someone in your local area.
Yes.
Talking Australia, we'll just keep this answer to Australia. How is the government helping us out? Like, there's stimulus, isn't there? There's all these benefits. How does all that work, Farokh, from an Australian viewpoint?
Okay. I would say Australia has done very well. Australian governments have done very well in stimulating and keeping the economy going. Although, to a large extent, the economy is shut down, but it's in hibernation at the moment. What that means is that although you don't have any income coming in, government is supporting you by way of getting some income by way of stimulus package. And also, there are some measures that are put in place by the governments, local, state governments, as well as the federal government, to cut down on your expenses. So both ways, although you are losing your income, but on the other hand, you are not going to have those expenses. The biggest one being salaries and wages for your employees, and the rent. If you are paying rent, there are measures put in place by the state government and the federal government to help you with rental relief with your landlords. Just to give you an example with the income support that the federal government has come up with, there are two main type of income supports. One is called job seeker and the other one is called job keeper. Job seeker is for people who have been unemployed, who have lost their jobs and who have nowhere to go. Your company cannot employ you back into your position due to this coronavirus. In that case, if you are in that situation, you have to seek job seeker allowance from the government. And this is administered by Centrelink. So you have to apply to Centrelink, and Centrelink will provide you with all the necessary information to get you the job seeker allowance. The other allowance is job keeper. Now that is for small businesses, small and medium enterprises, companies, sole traders, partnerships, trusts. Everyone who is in business will be able to seek some kind of job keeper payment, and that job keeper payment is being administered by the tax office. The job keeper payment will be $1,500 per fortnight per employee. If you don't have an employee, if you are a mom and dad type of business and you are only working in your business yourself, you can still get $1,500 per fortnight per employee, which is you. So if mom and dad in a business and both are directors in the company, say for example, then one director will be entitled to get this $1,500 as a per fortnight. So, and I think that's a very good measure that government has come up with this job keeper payment to keep businesses in business and to keep employees employed by that business, because it's like a wage subsidy. Although you're not getting your wage from your employer, but government is subsidizing this for you. So you are not out of pocket, you are still getting regular income on a fortnightly basis that will be paid by the tax office. But of course, with every allowance and the subsidies that the government comes up with, there are checks and balances on the other side to make sure that the system is used for what it is meant to be. In other words, people are not roading the system. So yeah, there are some very good measures put in by the government to help people go through this temporary crisis. Now, when I say temporary, I don't know whether it will last for 6 months, 10 months, 12 months. But this measure at the moment, both job seeker and job keeper, both are for 6 months. So it's until the end of September. It may be extended depending on the situation when we get to that point. If the situation still persists, then it may be extended further. But right now, it is until September.
Wow. And is everyone eligible for that? Or do you have to have like a drop in income or something?
Eligibility criteria is there for businesses who are going to get the job keeper payment. For them, the business would have to have a turnover reduced by 30%, small business, over a corresponding period in the last 12 months. So say, for example, your turnover in March was, say, $10,000 in this March. But in the corresponding period in 2019 March, your turnover was $20,000. So you have reduced, your turnover is down by 50%, corresponding to the previous period. That means you are eligible, your business is eligible because you have reduced your turnover by more than 30%. That's the criteria for job keeper payment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, that's great to know. Are there any other stimulus and incentives that the government's providing?
Yes, the state government is also giving grants to small businesses. This is the New South Wales government. They have announced the grant to small business of up to $10,000 for businesses who have been affected by coronavirus, again, only for a temporary period. But there are limits, there are thresholds and conditions attached to that grant also. The business would have had to be in operation for about 12 months. If it's a newly commenced business, say in the last 2-3 months, then they may not be eligible. So the eligibility criteria, there is a list of eligibility criteria for businesses to get the $10,000 grant. Then yesterday, New South Wales government also announced a rent relief and tax relief to the landlords. Rent relief is in the sense that landlords may not be able to evict the tenants, both commercial and residential, for a period of about 6 months due to non-payment of rent. On the other hand, landlords have also been given the concession in land tax. 25% waiver of land tax will be available to landlords if they pass on that savings to the tenants in terms of reduced rent. So both the landlords and the tenants benefit by this measure for a period of about 6 months. And there is another measure I would like to emphasize from the government. This is for small business again. Initially, the government mentioned that they would pay a minimum of $20,000 up to a maximum of $100,000 to small businesses where you have withheld tax from your wages and salaries bill in the March quarter and in June quarter. when you submit your best for March quarter, which will be due in the next 2 weeks' time, if you withheld tax from your wages and employees' salaries, then regardless of how much you have withheld, you will be eligible for a minimum of $20,000 as a reimbursement from the government. Now that minimum will be split into two parts. The first part will be paid $10,000 will be paid in the March quarter best. After you lodge your best for March quarter, you will get $10,000 as a credit on your best. The remaining $10,000 will be split into two parts. The $5,000 will be paid in June quarter best, and the remaining $5,000 will be paid in September quarter best, making up a total of $20,000 as minimum. But if you withhold more than $20,000 in your business, then you will be eligible for that 100% refund, up to a maximum of $100,000. So that's something very good as well for small businesses.
Wow.
The money, the first payment will start kicking in from the first week of May for the job keeper, which was at $1,500 per employee per fortnight. That would start coming in from early May, and it will be paid by the tax office monthly in arrears. It won't be paid each fortnight. It will be paid monthly, but it will be paid for 2 fortnights together. So yeah, so people's businesses should start seeing the money into their bank account by early May.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah. So there are measures that are put in place to combat this crisis. So yeah, let's wait and see now how long the crisis goes on for. Hopefully not too long.
Wow. Farokh, that is so beautifully well said. Really appreciate all your advice. Also as well, as we bring this interview to a close, what additional closing thoughts do you have for our wonderful viewers?
I would say that don't be disappointed with losing your job or losing your business at the moment, because you are not alone. Everyone is in the same situation as you are. If you have lost your job or if you have lost your customers and business, you are not alone. Everyone is in the same situation. So just focus on what you need to, what you have always done, and continue doing that. That's what I am doing in my business as well. So I can say the same thing from my experience, that all you need to do is focus on what you are doing at the moment and continue doing that.
Farokh, that is so beautifully well said, and thank you so much. And just a recap for the audience as well. So you're an Australian accountant, of course. So for any Australians watching, of course, they can come straight to you, Farokh?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. They can go to my website. There is a website, www.bartly, as in BARTLY.com.au. And there is a blog site as well. There's lots of information for business, small businesses, cash flows, budgets, and whatever. The blog site is called www.blog.com.au.
Oh, very, very nice. And of course, as well, if you're not from Australia, of course, speak to a local accounting and finance specialist to get information for your country and jurisdiction.
Absolutely, yeah, yes. Your accountant, your local accountant, is the source I would say you would go to get the advice, especially on government stimulus packages all over the world. Different governments would have stimulus packages in whatever different ways they have announced. But for Australian government, yeah, you need to contact your local accountant. If you don't have one, then you can always contact us at Bartley. We are on your side.
Exactly. And of course, again, I know you're an Australian accountant, and again, the world's a big place, but my understanding is, talking generally, of course, Farokh, is
Yes,
basically all governments across the world, right from, the middle, United Arab Emirates to New Zealand to United
yes,
States,
yes,
everyone's doing some kind of stimulus, aren't they?
yes, yes. They would be, yes. They would do to keep their local economies going as well, because otherwise it will be very hard for the economy to to get back onto its feet, uh, where it was before the virus began. So governments have stepped up in for a temporary period, but each country will have its own measures that they would need to look at with their accountants.
Oh, Farokh, thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure. I'll just say, everyone watching, I've also put my name, Farokh's name, in the comments. You can also find Farokh on LinkedIn as well. Farokh, I just want to say thank you on behalf of everyone. We appreciate you, Farokh, and thank you again.
Thank you for having me, Ed. And I just add one more comment as well. I can be reached on my mobile phone as well. My number is 0407 280 898.
Farokh, it's an honourable pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Make sure you like, share, and comment, and get in contact with Farokh, and appreciate you all.
Thank you very much, Ed.